I recently went to go and see the comedy about a bank robbery in the Sritrian Theatre. I don't know how you say that. And I loved it, and I thought I would do a review on it to share my love for this with you guys, so you guys can go and watch it as well. So, what is the comedy about a bank robbery about, you ask? Well, I will tell you. Basically, it's set in Minneapolis, I think. There's a criminal that gets out of jail and he wants to go and rob a bank. Naturally, he has an unlikely companion with him, much to his dismay. He basically doesn't want him to be there, but he can't do anything about it. At the same time as that, there is a pickpocketer who basically pretends to be everyone but him, and he basically gets involved with this bank robbery through this girl that he has fallen in love with, and basically everything goes wrong. And when they do eventually rob the bank, there are several twists and turns that you do not expect, and it can get quite morbid at times. That there are a couple of deaths, which is I wasn't expecting that, if I'm completely honest, but I'm okay with it. It was okay. So the show is written and created by the company Mischief Theatre, and they've done several other shows very, very similar to this one. They're basically like a comedy theatre company kind of thing, because all of their shows are hilarious. And when I say hilarious, I mean belly laughing, your jaw hurts, crying, hilarious. Some of the other plays that they have done that you might have heard of, these are the ones that I know of, and I have seen a couple. So they have The Play That Goes Wrong, which is currently in West End in London. I'm not entirely sure what theatre it is. Maybe if I find it, I'll write it here somewhere. But I have seen that, and it is hilarious. Like, I don't think I've ever laughed so much in my whole entire life. It was ridiculous. There is Peter Pan Goes Wrong, I think that's what it's called. I haven't seen that, but that was out at Christmas a couple of years ago on the TV. And also last year at Christmas, so Christmas 2011. They came out with their rendition of The Christmas Carol. I'm not sure what the title was. I don't know whether it was A Christmas Carol Gone Wrong or anything along those lines, but it is funny. So obviously when we left the theatre after seeing this show, all of us were like, oh my gosh, it was so funny, blah blah blah. There was that one question that was, is it better than The Play That Goes Wrong? And my answer to that question is I liked both of them. I think they are on par with each other. They're both very different, like they're both hilarious, but they're different. Play That Goes Wrong is very much like they acknowledge the audience, you are their audience, so the actors are playing characters that are putting on a play. It's very confusing to explain, as you can imagine. So they acknowledge the audience and they look out into the audience, and there is one particular character that likes to wave to the audience. Whereas this show doesn't do that. They don't acknowledge the audience in the same manner, in the same way. It's like a drama, you know? So it is slightly different. It's a different kind of vibe, it's a different environment. It's more verbal slapstick comedy than The Play That Went Wrong. So I can't say which one I prefer, because I thought they were both hilarious, and I think they're both on par with each other. I think they're both hilarious in their own entirety. I don't know whether that's the right word. Now, as I keep saying, this show is hilarious, and the humour is definitely a certain type of humour. Like, I wouldn't say every person would find this funny. If you don't like slapstick comedy, you might not like this. My mum doesn't particularly like slapstick comedy, but she finds this hilarious. So, I don't know. There are so many funny elements to this show. Right from the word go, it is hilarious. There are a few moments where it gets, as I said, morbid. There was still some humour to it. So moving on to characters, there are 8 characters in this show. There's Mitch, who is the prisoner to begin with, and the guy that wants to rob the bank. Then you have Cooper, who actually works at the prison, but he wants to help with the bank robbery. You have Three Boys, who is like the head of the bank that is going to be robbed, basically. You also have Ruth Monahan. I don't know how you say that name. Let's call her Ruth. She works at the bank. She's like a receptionist kind of person, I don't know. And she has a son called Sam, who is like a pickpocketer. There's also Officer Randall Shuck, who basically goes to the bank and starts like working there to help them get better, something along those lines. You also have Warren Slacks, who works at the bank. He's like 67 years old. He's an apprentice, even though he's 67, which doesn't make any sense. And he also has a crush on Three Boys' daughter called Caprice, and I don't understand that either because he's 67 and she definitely isn't 67. And then there is one character who, well, there's one actor who plays everyone else. And by that I mean he plays like 4 different people. He plays Three Boys' nephew, and he plays 3 other people who Caprice is using just to get money. So he plays like a normal person, and then he plays a really, really old man who's the funniest character, and he plays a German. My favourite characters in this show, there's 2 favourites, and then there's one that I just think is amazing. So one of my favourites is Cooper. He's just so funny. He says that he's like in amateur dramatics, and he's just hilarious. And my other favourite character obviously has to be everyone else. So Three Boys' nephew and the 3 different people, especially the old man. He is my favourite out of all 3 of them. He's just hilarious, and the way that this actor plays him makes it so funny for the audience, but also for the actors on stage. The person that I think is absolutely amazing is the person that plays Ruth Monahan. I don't know how you say her last name. The actress that played her when we went to go see it is amazing. Like, her voice is out of this world. There is music elements to this show. When the set changes, they have like little stings, I guess, instrumentals, where they're like scatting, I think that's what it's called. Oh my gosh, they're just amazing. All of them have great voices. And the type of songs that they play are almost like Elvis kind of vibes. And I love Elvis. I'm an Elvis girl through and through. So to hear those type of songs was just great for me. I really, really enjoyed it. So as I said, the old man was like my favourite character, and any scene with the old man just makes me crack up so much. One scene in particular is when they're having almost like a chase scene where one character is chasing 2 characters. They do it in a really clever way, but they get to a point where it's like I don't know what they call it in America, but like a zebra crossing kind of thing. And this old man is walking across the road, but he's not walking. He really isn't walking. He's like, I don't know how you would describe what he's doing, but he does it in such a funny way. When we went to go watch it, the actors that were like behind him, obviously still on stage, but you could see every single one of them was trying their hardest not to laugh, and I think that made that moment so much more funnier. There are a few clever moments. I'm not gonna like say any of them because I don't want to give it away if you are planning to go and see it, but there are some aspects to the show that they use the stage in a really, really clever way. So my thoughts on the story itself are, it's a funny story. It's not a hard story to understand, and it's written in a really clever way. The scene changes are so clever. It runs really smoothly. I do think the morbid bits where people get shot was very surprising, and I wasn't expecting it. But my thoughts on the play overall were that it was just hilarious. This show is hilarious, and if you haven't watched it, or if you don't know what it is, go and watch it, get some tickets, read up about it. It's hilarious. The Mischief Theatre Company are like the best writers. And I love theatre shows, like don't get me wrong, I love musicals, but I just love funny theatre shows. So as you can tell, I really enjoyed the comedy about Bank Robbery, and my thoughts on it are very positive because I would most definitely go and watch it again. That's all I got for you. That's all I can say about it. If you liked that video, that little review, make sure you give it a thumbs up and let me know if you're gonna go and watch the theatre show, or if you've already watched it. And if you found it as funny as I did. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. And last but not least, thank you very much for watching. And I will see you next week. Go and watch it, please. Go and watch this show. Bye. That was so weird. Bye.